Good morning.
Hello. And I'm already smirking in the background here. Apparently, some people have already listened to the podcast, so we have some comments coming up. One of which Rebecca was first. She says, "Beyond Delicious is one of my favorites. The stories are fascinating and the recipes are so yummy." Jim says it's the saltpeter, the potassium nitrate, that gives that jerky recipe the desired flavor.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know, and happy belated birthday, Becky. So,
And who else? Oh, Amy says, "Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday." Who else listened to the podcast this morning about Beyond Delicious?
does anybody have a recipe for squirrel stew?
That was a fun one to record. And I was doing a lot of Googling in the background, like trying to figure out that recipe and that secret ingredient, why anybody would want to put that into food.
It was so hard with that doing that book. When somebody, a ghost that died in the 30s, said we have to put bitters in it. Well, I know there's a thing bitters that people put in drinks. for
Mhm.
it's for something or other. I don't know what, but I don't. It was like they would say stuff that I would have no idea. And of course, I would put it down, but then the people that were editing it would go, no, 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 no. We need to know exactly what the name is. It's like, well, I don't know. It's some weed that they chopped up and put in the stew. I don't know what it is, but it was never again a recipe book. Believe me, that's too hard to do.
Right. Um, let's see. Chrissy says, "Hello, ladies. I hope you're having a great morning. Can spirits that are from the light travel in lines, waiting to go into other dimensions? Can go through windows, stairs, doorways, closets? Is that true?"
An earth one that has crossed over can go wherever they want. The seeds don't stop them, but I do not believe they can jump into other dimensions. I've never, and I've talked to a lot of earthbound ghosts. I've never heard or asked anyone if they've ever been in the same world where like the little folk live. I No, not that I don't think so.
Let's see. Hello, Melanie from Georgia. Good morning, Debbie. Hello, Natalie. There's a little bit of an echo, and I think I'm on a different Wi Fi, so bear with me, guys. Lori Marr, Jen. Hello, Melissa Marianne. Have a question about your last Zoom. Pray it forward challenge. What might be your question? Let me see if I can find it. When you picked up on Kelly's father, did you see him? If so, how did you give the numbers?
Yeah, he was definitely there. And I wonder if Kelly found out what those numbers were good for. It had to be the last four numbers of a phone number. That's all I could think of because it wasn't the address. So it's hard. I don't know.
Let's see. Well, and because you can't talk to them through the Zoom, they can do things like hold up numbers because they can still see you and hear you and respond that way for you.
Correct.
Let's see. Hello, Tina and Sue. 69 with a possible of 89 to 90 for Sapphire.
And that's how it's going to be this weekend here. It's going to be just as hot here.
Hello, Setsuka. It was good to see your daughter.
She's so cute. I was so glad we got to see her.
Hello, Sydney. Or City, sorry, I say Sydney because I'm reading the next one already. Swifty. Um, let's see, let's catch up. And Lewis, where have you been and how did your semester, is that what they call it over there? How did that end? How did your school year end? How was your project? Oh, hey, Pam. Pam's local for us. She says her aunt has a squirrel stew.
Really?
Hello, Eleanor. Mary says, "Happy Wednesday, everyone. I love Beyond Delicious." Let's see. Melanie says she tried to listen to the podcast, but not to meant to listen to while cooking. Hello, Brooke.
Woo-woo.
And Sue already listened and loved it. Thank you. I think that's probably, of all the ones we've recorded so far, one of the ones that I've done the fastest and most Googling in the background while you're talking. I'm like, what is this?
You know, the neat thing about that is that, and I never gave it a thought, but that's a really cool book for Mother's Day or an odd, a mother-in-law that needs a gift, and it's just this little gift. But the crazy thing is, and I think it was at the winery last year, a couple came up to me. And the woman said, "Oh my God," she said, "I absolutely love the ghost stories in the cookbook." And the husband said, "Yeah, I never read those." He said, "But the recipes are great." So he did the recipes and she read
So
this.
both are enjoying the book. Let's see. Oh, Jackie says, "Good morning. We have booked our tickets for the Merry-Go-Round Museum. Can't wait to see you, ladies. How
I'm
fun."
seeing you, Jackie. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Paula asks, "Do beloved cats cross over? And can they
They
visit?"
do, and they do visit, absolutely. The problem is with cats, if they don't want to go, I can make a dog go into the light without a problem, but not a cat. So I almost have to hope that there's an earthbound spirit there that can scoop the cat up and take it with them, because you can't make a cat do anything it doesn't want to do.
Yeah, I'm lucky I can get Sith to like come here. They have a mind of their own. Natalie says, "Marianne, with all the funerals you have attended, have you ever been really sad or depressed? How do you not let that affect you?"
It's very hard to go to funerals for young people, especially for like kids under 3. Though that just kills me. That's why it wasn't that's why I didn't like going into the exhibit for the Oklahoma bombing, because that whole preschool got wiped out, and we started into the museum to see it, and one of the very first exhibits were all those little kid shoes and toys and it's like, yeah, no, I'm leaving. And I get the same thing when I go in and have to see a baby. Their caskets are so bitty. And so I just feel sad. But on the other hand, I know an angel or somebody's taking him, so that's a good thing. But yeah, I don't like to see the kids.
So Dana says they were the last 4 of the Social Security number.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So Brenna says, "Have you ever seen Huff Paranormal? He communicates with spirits who have crossed over using his spirit boxes and gets amazing replies."
I have no idea who that is. None. I don't watch any of those TV movies or shows or reality shows. I just sit there and roll my eyes, and one of these days they're going to get stuck up in my forehead. So I just don't even bother to watch them. No, we're not going to practice rolling my eyes up into my head. Where'd you go, Melissa? Melissa's gone, Ted.
I'm
Nope,
back.
you're back. Okay.
Sorry, the connection here is a little off today for some silly reason, so bear with me. And that's what that echo and talking is.
Okay.
So I have to keep muting between the two of us because it'll stop it. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. There is, and just as a heads up, there is a Mercury or scratch. There's Law of Abundances this Saturday.
And somebody, one of the questions that I was getting ready to show up before I blooped, thank you, bro, was what time to do the Law of Abundance check.
It is this Saturday for our time zone, Eastern time. It is 4:17 a.m. So after midnight on the 26th, when it hits 27, but before 4:17 a.m. Set the clock, stay up. I always have a bathroom run during that time period. So I always leave a pin in the check sitting on the counter in the bathroom. And
There
I'll
we
just,
go.
yeah, I mean,
Multitasking.
I know my routine, so that'll work.
Yes, it
I
was
mean, I
funny.
don't try to look for it at that point. It's already laying out.
Oh, Lewis says his project went well. He's starting university in a month. Well, I'm
Nice.
glad. Um, let's see. Eleanor says my son passed on the 15th. On
Oh,
Friday, a cardinal was outside my window. I'm in Florida. It was the first time I've seen a cardinal here in Florida. Did my son send it to me? Is he telling me he's crossed over?
and a lot of people do recognize a cardinal as a sign from somebody that passed, or a butterfly, or like I've said before, there's a man in Texas that every time he sees a hawk, he thinks of his son. So there are definitely signs that they're around.
Hmm. Um, because of our book club that we just had, are mermaids classified as little folk?
You know what? Yes, I'm going to put them there only because of the folklore. You would classify mermaids and mermen in with folklore, along with the fairies and the sprites and the leprechauns and everything else. So, yes, I would. Probably, I don't know how many people would think that but birds, fowl, sure, why not?
And Lewis says, speaking of mythical beings and little folk, what is your opinion on vampires?
And again, folklore. I think there's probably some truth to it, but there are people today living that drink blood every day. It's like they're modern vampires. Now, they don't go around, biting people on the neck, but that's still, I mean, and I think that there is a disease, and there's a name for it, the people that do drink human blood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, I don't think a vampire is going to turn into a bat and fly in your room or anything like that. But I've run across a couple ghosts that thought they were vampires when they were alive.
Hmm.
Forgot
That's
about
interesting.
them. Yeah, I forgot all about them till right now.
Oh, next podcast episode after the two we're recording.
Not the next one, because I have to remember how that whole thing went. It was a number of years ago. But yes,
And more topics keep coming.
yeah, yeah, never stop.
Denise asks, have you ever been asked to help in the Beverly Jarros? Am I saying that correctly? And I've listened to podcasts about this, but I still can't pronounce that last name. Unsolved murder in Garfield Heights.
Yes, I was asked to the house not that long ago, probably in the last 10 or 12 years. I was at the house with the family, and they got some new information. And I don't know exactly what they did with it, but yes. And she did cross over, so that was good. But I remember that my mother, it was like, keep doing it. You're going to end up like Beverly. So,
Oh, no, that's not motivational at all.
right, right. Or how is that? Behavior, I'm going to send you to the nuns to live with. You know how that goes. I guess I was a bad kid. I don't know.
I'd be like, I'm getting the nuns to party. Like,
That's
send them.
right.
Bet. Have you read Mark Hartzman's book on ghosts?
I have not.
And you know what? Hang on, I'm gonna make a note of that, and maybe that could at some point be a book club book.
And I was thinking too, because we were discussing a new book, and I know you came up with a couple things, Melissa, but another one that we could and really should do is dreams. Dream interpretation, what dreams mean. I think people would really like to hear that too.
Yeah, I know, my time spent at Borders many years, and then even having my shop ordering dream books, like I can order 20 different like dream books and dictionaries, and every single one's going to tell you different meaning,
That's right.
same dream. And that's why I'm like, yeah, because now you got to get into psychology and what you're going through, what's unresolved, what, and I'm like, that
There
requires.
was and it wasn't a very big book. It was actually a very, very small book. And it was Native American interpretation of dreams. And if you dreamt of a hawk, they could tell you it was this, or if you dreamt of water, it meant. And of course their interpretation was totally different than everybody else's, but that one was a pretty interesting book. I thought that's I liked that one. I liked.
We should have Ted text that over to me, and I'll do some research in the next couple days on books and quantities. And
Yeah, I might still have that packed away someplace. I'm gonna have to look.
And speaking of books, do spirits attach themselves to books? And how many spirits are in secondhand bookshops?
Yes, and a lot. The one ghost that was attached to a manuscript. Oh, it was a Shakespeare's daughter that came with that from England, ended up in Akron. So yes, you could absolutely bring. It's used, and I know college bookstores, but you're going to find ghosts that hang out in, you know, campuses that are going to hang out in bookstores too.
Melanie, and this could be a good example of how a Zoom works because you can see where I'm at and you can see where I am. Melanie says maybe you have an earthbound messing with your internet connection.
I
Marianne.
So how to survive a Mercury retrograde is the book.
So
for
it's not a ghost. It's
September.
this planet flying around.
But we're not in it yet. We're coming up to it. And the really cool thing, we'll be doing this book on the book club during a Mercury retrograde because that actually starts on the 9th of September. So if we have problems with the internet after that time, I for sure will blame it on the Mercury retrograde.
So there was a question. Here it is. This asks if your cookbook is on your website.
It is. And you have it, don't you, Melissa?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
it'll be at the winery.
It will. All of them will be out there. And Marianne, you'll have your siege, your charms, your pillow, all the things. All the things will be there that night. And Sapphire says, I made one of the recipes, the nut loaf, and it was good.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember right, when we did that dinner at that restaurant in Oberlin,
It was all from the cookbook.
It was. And wasn't there, it was a pulled barbecue recipe and a meatloaf. And it was the meatloaf that I was surprised that I liked because
the meatloaf was good. Yeah, very good.
I'm not
I like my personal favorite in there. I like mushrooms, so I like the stuffed mushrooms. They're so good. And I did the stuffed mushroom recipe on a food show in Chicago.
Oh.
I was on his show, and we did the mushrooms. We made them together on his show, and he really liked them, so it was good. And
nice.
And after it was over, his aunt was in the studio that had died like about 8 weeks before, so he got the whole idea of it.
That's nice. He got it all in one.
That's right.
Sink says, hi, ladies. When a person still has the light, so they haven't crossed over yet and it hasn't gone away, do they still need to get energy from the living?
No, they still have their own energy until the light disappears, and that's when they start using our energy.
Oh, and Tammy says the stories in Beyond Delicious are fascinating. And I've known a lot of people who will come and buy the book just for the stories. Like they don't cook at all.
Right.
But they just want those stories. Amy, and there was another one of our friends here who have suggested trying to use a laser light to get a ghost cat to cross over.
Well, that's a cool idea. Something else to add to my ghost kit.
There you go. And they're little.
Yeah, they're tiny.
Now,
I would try that.
Now, Then you have a cat like mine
I do. Oh,
who,
you're okay.
yeah, laser lights were fun for about the first day. And then once he realized a human controls it, you get the side eye. He doesn't face it.
Oh no, our boys will still go at it. But think about it. A ghost cat
Hmm.
probably hasn't had a laser played with them
In a
since they
while.
were dead. Right. So
Or a little
they,
catnip mouse, maybe you can.
yeah. I've tried throwing the little mouse or the little fuzzy balls or little, I, no, that's when they just sit there and like, are you kidding me? You really
Like,
want me to go get that?
I can't touch it. So nice try.
Right.
Um, let's see. Oh, divine. Yes. Good morning, everyone. There are energy vampires, and they can be really bad.
Yes, that, but I think she was referring to, or he was referring to blood vampires that, oh yeah, energy vampires are terrible.
Um, Brenna asks, how do I lucidly, there we go, communicate with my loved ones when they visit in my dreams? I can never do it well.
The trick to that, as soon as you see them in your dream, you have to start talking because they will not until you say, hi, grandma, or hi, mom, or gosh, Sherry, you look great. You have to start before they will start talking back to you. And it takes a while to figure out the rhythm because you're sleeping and you're trying to mentally still do it while you're sleeping. But believe me, it can be done and you can get some great information that way.
Um, let's see. Ashley says, my mom passed away at 58 very unexpectedly on July 8th. I'm having a tough time understanding why this happened and with closure. Do you have any advice?
It's hard, Ashley. Was this death expected? Was it unexpected? I mean, was she sick, but you didn't expect it to happen so soon? There's all kinds of reasons that she could or could not cross over. It's too soon to see her in a dream because that would be your definite sign that she had crossed over because earthbound spirits cannot get into dreams. But your first dream won't be for at least 6 months, and it can take up to 2 years. Your best bet is to maybe come on a Zoom and let's see if she's hanging around you. If I can see her, then she's still earthbound. But don't forget, you can ask her all kinds of questions when you finally do dream of her, though, too.
Mm. Um, Karen asks, as a follow up to Natalie's question, do you meditate or ground yourself before releasing the earthbound? So does it drain you?
No, I really don't. I just don't. No, and getting rid of the ghost doesn't bother me one little bit. I get more tired from the live people in the houses I'm in because everybody and every house that I go to asks the same questions every time. It's like I just want to put it on the tape recorder and listen to this before we start. But no, I'm fine. Even doing, I don't do it anymore, but when I could, I would do 2 or 3 or 4 houses a day, especially when I lived down in Worcester. I wasn't going to drive, up here to this area for one house or two houses. So I would spend the whole day. And like I said, but every house. So how old were you and and you can, yeah. Same thing.
Should have like a little handout that you send to them an email before your appointment.
When ghosts speak, all those questions are answered in this book. I mean, everything that everybody ever asks me is in that book, it seems. But that's, it's the job. I'm sure that anybody that deals with the public, there are certain little things that that's just part of the job.
Well, and I'm sure even if they had read it and that they're anticipating and they've been following you for a while, then they get starstruck and they go into fangirl mode and their brain quits working for a minute and they want to engage with you, so they're gonna ask. And
Right.
Dean asks, any interesting or funny stories from working with the Ghost Whisperer show?
Oh yeah, there will definitely be a podcast on that
So probably multiple episodes.
I would think so. We could just take each character and do a podcast on each one of the characters.
So we've got at least what, 6 episodes lined up now?
Yeah.
Let's see. Can the ghost possess the living?
There are circumstances that a ghost you can be possessed. They are far and few between. And don't confuse a possession with a walk-in. It's similar, but they're two different things. Walk-ins, I think, probably happen more often than possessions.
Renee says, Marianne, you were on the podcast Psychic Teachers. Samantha, who's one of the hosts, has a book coming out September 1st called The Awake Dreamer. Maybe that would be a good book club.
Oh, thanks for letting me know, Renee. Those are such nice people. That was a nice show that I was on. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Using my phone to take screenshots of the texts here, so I can have it to go back and look at. Tammy asks, would someone who is fighting an addiction benefit from one of the quinseeds, or one of your quinseeds? Not any quinseed, your quinseed.
Absolutely, because anybody that's has any kind of addiction probably has an earthbound spirit with them that had something to do with the same type of addiction when they were alive, and they would be definitely trying to get the person to fall off the wagon and go back to bad habits. So, and a quinseed would stop anybody from getting close to them. And unfortunately, as you could tell from one of the earlier podcasts a couple weeks ago, anybody that's in a rehab center cannot keep jewelry with them. So it's really, really hard for them to keep a quinseed on them. There are, like the ball players that I do work for, their quinseed is actually in one of their teeth. That would be the only way that somebody could do it in a rehab center.
So apparently I'm not the only one with a cat that will not chase a laser pointer now, because Brooke says as soon as my cat figured out that it was me, they're like, nah. And that's mine. I even, one of my friends gave me one of those tall ones that have 2 or 3 and the top spins and sends a bunch of them everywhere. He just sits down in his little bread loaf and is like, nice try. And just will not engage in the whole laser pointer thing.
I wonder if my boys do it because there's the 2 of them. They want to get to it before the other one gets to it. Like Bill will sit there and watch Bob go after it. And then he'll think, no, Bob can have it. But the minute Bill goes after it, Bob has to jump on Bill so he can get it first. So, yeah. No.
The brotherly competition.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Hazel asks, does Reiki help in crossing earthbound spirits over?
It does not. Reiki is terrific, and Ted and I are both 2nd degree Reiki, and it is great positive energy, and it's great for healing and other things, but it does not do anything for crossing over earthbound spirits. Nothing.
Swifty says, I work with an energy vampire. She yammers nonstop, going from one irrelevant subject to another. I wear a quinseed. Do you know of anything else that I can do to repel her?
Don't wear deodorant? I don't know. That was mean. I don't know. I'm not really good with getting rid of human people. I know I'm part Italian, but I don't know anybody from the mafia. Sorry about that. I've actually been asked.
I know one of my practitioners that works through the store, Maria, she does pranic healing. She says that she has found making a connection to like a divine place. Like if you have a religious, like whatever religion, statue or piece or picture on a wall, or if you can mentally connect to like a local church or something and run that energy like from that place to the energy vampire, then the energy that they're pulling is from somewhere else other than you. and so it keeps it from draining you as much. Um, now I in
That would
the
work.
in like the training that I've been through with the shamanism, there is a way to like feel that need coming in and like send it right back, and it usually makes them kind of wander away. They would go become somebody else's problem. Um, so there's a few techniques. I should probably have Maria like record a video on that, put it up on our YouTube for people who might need that help.
That would help.
Um, or just pick up any rock and throw it at them. I mean, have a good aim and it'll repel anything. Um, let's see. Oh, somebody else listens to that podcast.
They're very nice. Two ladies. They're so nice. Very, very nice gals.
Let's see. So Vicky asks, I have a small tray of crystals next to my bed. Will the selenite I have them with continually cleanse them, or do I need to do that separately? So selenite, actually citrine, is probably a little bit safer one to keep with other crystals. It cleanses itself and others, and it's not brittle. Selenite can be very, very brittle. It break apart. It will kind of break down in water on you too. Um, but that's just something that will keep itself and kind of like immediate. If you have like a storage tote full of crystals and one little citrine, it's, you know,
Not going to do it. Okay.
yeah. So citrine is probably, and again, because it's in the quartz family, it's more durable than selenite. Um, Chrissy asked, can a dog that passes away attach itself to another dog and that dog act like the one that passed away?
Yes, and another thing too, um, there is a lady that loved her little Yorkies, and she always got either a brother, sister, two sisters, two brothers. When you know, I mean, she's in her 80s, so she had Yorkies all her life, and she swears if she waits about 7 months before she buys another pair of them, that one of her old Yorkies will reincarnate into them because they do everything the same.
Hmm.
And when I bought, when I had my grooming shop, when I had my real life, I groomed dogs and animals for years. And if a person lost their pet, say they had a poodle, and they bring it in. Oh, Muffy died. I'm going to get another one. And I always said, don't get the same breed because you're going to be comparing. Get another dog, but try to get a different breed. So when my first Bashan died, Major, the one that's still with me over 30 some years now, when he died, did I listen to my own advice? Oh no, I went out and bought a Bashan. And Major drove that puppy crazy. Absolutely crazy nuts. I had to find it, I had to rehome the puppy because I there was nothing I could do with it. And I would take, his name was Casper, and I would take him out and he'd go potty, and I'd bring him in, I'd give him his cookie, and while he's eating his cookie, he went potty. And that was Major making him do that. So, yes, so your past animals can definitely influence your now animals.
Divine says, every so often I get the urge to cry or get a tingling feeling at night. I noticed a crying spell hit me on my dad's birthday. Could that feeling or crying be my mom or dad trying to connect with me?
Can't believe you even brought that up, Divine. Yesterday was my father's anniversary of his death. 52 years ago, he died. And I know he was around because I could smell his half and half pipe tobacco. That's what he smoked. I did not see him in a dream, but Tara talked to me last night, and she says, Mom, she says, is my house clean? Now, Tara is the one that can do this. I said, Tara, why are you asking me that? She says, because I rolled over yesterday before I got up in the morning, and she thought her husband was bending over and looking at their dog in her crate. And she thought to herself, why is he looking at the dog, and fell back to sleep. Well, and then when they woke up, she says, why were you looking at the dog? And he says, what are you talking about? And then she described what it was. My dad was at her house.
Mhm.
And Tara, he was already dead before Tara was born. So she really never saw him in person. So yeah, they definitely visit, and it can be a melancholy day on the day that that you think about them a lot. Actually, yesterday was also James Van Prague's birthday, the 23rd of August.
Hmm. Um, let's see. Because we have some new friends, and we did mention the law of abundance. Krista asked, "Can you elaborate on Saturday's law of abundance and how exactly to do it?" Do you have your little paper check there next to you?
I maybe. So on Saturday, before it peaks, I have this little box of stuff here in case somebody asks for something. No, I don't have one of the checkbooks here. Anyway, you write a check out to yourself. There are so many YouTubes I have it on my website. And if you go to my website, it is totally
Mm.
discussed. You could even print out a check off of that if you don't want to, make your own check. But and it would take you, I mean, this one is hard because you have to wake up so, in the middle of the night to do it. But usually they're not that hard and it takes 5 seconds. Thanks, hon. And I have this little law of abundance checkbook that we made up. So the checks are already, all you have to do, I don't think you can see it, it's too fair. But the checks are already made up and we've already got the ones for next year.
Oh, nice. You're ahead of the game.
Yes.
Um, Brooke says, "Some of my woo woo friends were discussing that possessions are happening more often than they used to. Have you noticed this?"
No, I have not. I It's very, very hard to get a possession unless you are into some really nasty stuff, uh, Satanism or devil worship or something like that. In one of those scenarios, you could ask to be possessed for doing whatever kind of evil is that you want to do. But most people, the only way a regular person can get possessed is if they are totally unconscious, like knocked out for a surgery, or even having to be put to sleep for a short period of time to have a tooth extracted, being knocked out in a car accident, being totally wiped out of your mind, drunk, in a, unconscious from drugs or alcohol. If there is an earthbound spirit hanging around, that would be one way to do it. There's a couple other ways too that are not as uh, they're not nice ways to get possessions, and we won't even go there. But they're far and few between, so I don't know why people are thinking that they're being possessed more now, unless that's just an excuse to use for something that's going wrong. Well, I didn't do it, I'm possessed. Doesn't work that way.
Right. Um, Angela says, "I'm an avid hiker, and some people are always amazed that I'm not afraid of ghosts that could live in the woods. I know there are no earthbounds, but could there be other spirits?"
Yes, there are probably wood sprites and forest sprites and fairies and all kinds of things that live in woods. But they're not going to attack you or do anything to you. Maybe if you were standing there with an axe cutting down a tree, somebody would try to scare you. But no, I go and ghosts, earthbound spirits don't hang out. Where are they going to get energy from? Little you running by, puffing and puffing? No, that wouldn't work.
Kathy says, "My son was stillborn. Is there something I could have done?"
No, I don't believe there is. I think that, in my opinion, and it is strictly my opinion, I wonder if the soul didn't even come into the spirit at that point yet, and that's why the baby, didn't make it. Because I really think you get your spirit, your soul, probably about 6 weeks before you deliver, and that's when your guardian angel shows up. So no, and if the soul was there, his guardian angel definitely would have taken him to heaven. So there's no, not a problem there. It's just a hard thing to go through.
So, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been smirking and chuckling during that one, but I am now into the comments of suggestions of what to do for energy vampires. The more serious one is tape a rose quartz under the desk of the energy vampire.
Oh,
Um, throw garlic at them. You could do the foil trick to repel energy vampires, maybe.
I don't think that would work on that.
And my mind, when I first read that, said, "Could you do the foil brick to repel?" And I'm like, "Oh."
Well, the brick would work if you hit him in the right place, right?
Melanie sees, please don't tell me. I have a few people that I could be psychic vampires, and I would love to throw rocks at them. Karen says garlic can start saging when she talks.
Yeah, seriously.
So, Lori, who's one of our readers and empathic, says she definitely agrees with the emotions for when spirits show up.
I wonder if people that have to work with the energy vampires, if they can wear headsets or something with their work so that somebody can't talk to them while they're working. If you can't hear them, they're not taking your energy. And you see a lot of people when they flash on offices that people have, earphones in, and maybe some of them are telephone or for things for your phones. But you see the headphones too. I That might be a way to do it if you're allowed to do it where you work.
Mm-hmm. Brenna says, when you had your dogs, did they see earthbound spirits at the same time as you? Like, were they staring or barking at someone and you saw the spirit where they were looking?
In all honesty, some dogs are smarter than other dogs. You know, a golden retriever is not going to protect you like a Rottweiler or a Doberman would. And those dogs are going to be more on guard and let you know if something is in the house. The other extreme of that are your little yippers, your little lappers. They're very aware of what's around you because they're always in your lap or you're always carrying them. So they know and they can feel if there's energy from an earthbound spirit around you. But yeah, some of your dogs, and when I do people's houses and I create the white light in their house, you see the dog sitting there staring, watching there. The dog's head is watching as I'm asking the spirit to go into the light. Oh yeah, they see it. Actually, the one after they went to the light, I closed the light and he stood up and he walked over to the where the light was and he was smelling the floor, trying to figure out where the ghost went to. So yeah, they definitely, some could see him and some can't. Absolutely.
Um, let's see. Anne says, my ex and my son's dad recently just passed away. He was trying to tell us something before he passed. Would love to know what it was.
If he hasn't crossed over, then if you can find somebody that can talk to him and get the information. Otherwise, if he did cross over, again, you're going to have to wait till he gets into a dream. And if you don't remember your dreams, get mugwort, and that will help you remember your dreams in about 2 to 3 weeks. After you put it between your pillowcase and your pillow, you'll start remembering your dreams.
Melody asks, is it possible the St. Joseph kit could help sell our house?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Just remember there's a couple of tricks to that. He has to be upside down facing the street, the front, the like where the front of your house faces on. so that if somebody was driving by in your street, St. Joseph is on his head, upside down, looking. When you put him in the ground, mark it. He's got a habit of sort of moving around in there. So you want to make sure that you know exactly where you put him. And the thing with that is that you've got to say 9 days, the prayer that goes with the St. Joseph kit. And the best way to do that is tape that little holy card on your bathroom mirror so that when you're brushing your teeth, you remember to do it, because you have to say that prayer 9 days in a row. And that will usually do it if the house is priced right. And in this day's market, who knows what that is, but the house will sell pretty quick. Then, when everything is done, you've got to dig him up and wash him off, and don't slam him in a junk drawer. Just put him on a windowsill someplace and give him to somebody else that could use him for his for them selling their house. But yes, St. Joseph absolutely does work.
For everybody but me. We should do a whole episode on what my house was.
Yeah, seriously.
I had an army of them in the yard by the time.
Yeah, there was a dentist that lived on one of the islands in Lake Erie, and oh my gosh, that's little St. Joseph just moved. He put that thing in 4 or 5 different times, and it moved every time. Every time it moved, and that one moved like maybe 2 or 3 feet away from where it was originally put in, not just 5 or 6 inches. So they could move around absolutely.
Mine disappeared, the front one, and turned into something else. So I guess I'll just not tell all of that story. So
right, not now, exactly.
Let's see. Make sure we don't have any more questions.
As a side note with St. Joseph, if you really read the back of a holy card of St. Joseph, it says you'll never die in a plane crash, a fire, you'll never burn. If anybody has any relative or friend that is fighting someplace, if the soldier has a St. Joseph medal on them, they will not die in battle. So if you've got somebody someplace, that might be a nice little thing to send them.
Wouldn't hurt.
Nope, sure wouldn't.
Vangela says, can wood sprites transform themselves to look like humans?
Well, the book we did last month on book club, that was their take that they could change. I don't believe they can. I've never seen them change into something, and I just don't believe that you're going to, when you die and you get reincarnated, you're going to be another human. You're a dog and you die, you're going to come back as a dog. I don't believe you jump species. I think you stay the same. So I don't really believe that.
Well, that even kind of, that last sentence references back to 2 book clubs ago, where how reincarnation and all this worked in between lives, and the book that I quit reading because I'm like,
yeah,
I can't do this.
See, there's so, 25, 30 years ago, there weren't enough books out there for everybody to get on the bandwagon and figure out what was going on. I mean, there was Edgar Cayce, there was Ruth Montgomery. These were old, and seriously, Ruth Montgomery books are really, really still very, very good for information. She was amazing. And and her ghost would actually type on her typewriter to give her information. And it was not an automatic typewriter, let me tell you. It was the old-fashioned royal typewriter.
Pink, yeah.
That's right. And when she ended up getting, forget which typewriter that was called, the one that had the ball, not the keys. They could really fly on that and give her a lot of information. But it was amazing. I corresponded with her a lot when she was alive because I had so many questions. Grandma was good, but Grandma was old-fashioned, and there were things I just didn't know. So, and Ruth actually helped me quite a bit.
So there's a question. It was like, "Don't leave us hanging. What did it turn into?" And asking if the fairies moved him. So um, we're gonna have to record that one pretty soon and get it up in the queue of the story of my house, my old house. Um, that was a challenge. Um, so yeah, I'm
The
gonna have to
funny
sit
part
down.
of it is, Melissa, is that you still have that house, even though you're not living in it.
Yes, it is being leased to own. We've got one more year on it, and then we'll see if in a year she's able to take it. But that house was very picky about who was it going to allow to come in. Um, so
And see, in everybody always asks me about funeral homes. Are there ghosts in funeral homes? Well, yes. Who's ever being shown that day at their funeral, they're standing there, but they don't live in the funeral home.
mhm,
And there were a lot of people, many, and there's still, I can think of 4 or 5 different funeral homes right now that the undertaker lives above the parlor. Right, their rooms, their apartment is above it. And
mhm,
they still don't hang out there. But it's really funny because your house was a funeral parlor.
mhm.
And that house is the only funeral parlor house that I've ever been in where the ghosts do hang out in there. And I
Well,
don't
not anymore.
know, but they did, and that floored me.
Well, and thinking like I went through the program while living in that house. We do a lot of work in there and talking with us. So I probably exacerbated the problem in like just doing that work um but yeah, and that little town is just interesting in of itself. It's got a lot of history that happened in the 5 streets that make up this little bitty town.
See, that your little town there reminds me of now Hinckley,
Mm,
Hinckley, Ohio, because that is, I can go down any street in Hinckley, a main drag or a side street or a dirt road in Hinckley, and still drive down the street and look at the houses and tell exactly
mhm.
from what's around the houses that have a problem in Hinckley. It's amazing.
Yeah, I bet my friend, like, if we wanted to record in there, like, she'd have no problem, except, the house is
Clear.
protected by it. Yeah, but maybe if we did it on the front porch, she's sensitive to certain things, especially some fairies, and there we would sit on the porch because we lived together for a little while as she was coming in and I was moving out. We would sit out on the front porch. I miss that front porch. She'd be like, "Oh, don't look over there," and I'm like, "Why?" She's like, not a nice spirit, meaning like fairy or something. She's like, it's time to go inside now. And I'm like, I don't feel a damn thing. I'm like, come up on this porch. And she's like, no, let's go inside. So
Sometimes you shouldn't challenge some things.
I'm just that person. I just am. Again, like to go into like haunted and this is and that, and people that get scratched and this and that. Well, and like you'll hear in the story, like I'm that person in the shower. I hear doors moving, and I'm the one yelling from the shower, "Don't with me." And then I'm going, "Oh, if that's a live person."
Yeah, right. What do you do now? Right.
So, get a little out there. I might get sent through a wall maybe one day in a in a house or something, but
Have you seen this new program on called Frogging?
mm-mm.
They spell it ridiculously, Phrogging. I mean, it's a ridiculous name that they spell it, but it is houses that live people are living in with the owners, and the owners don't know it. They're living in crawl spaces, they're living in the attics. And oh, you have to catch up on these. They're crazy.
How
But
can the owner not know if there's a camera crew?
excuse me?
If this is a TV show, right?
But this happened to them, and they're retelling they're telling the story of what happened. But every one of these stories, the couple or the girls in the dorm room or the young man, everyone that has one of these scenarios that happens goes, I bet we're haunted. Everybody thinks it's a ghost. And I sit there and I laugh. I'm thinking, really?
Right.
Now you believe in ghosts. But usually the cops will come and find who it is
Yeah.
and pull them. I mean, it is live people, not dead people. But I don't know how you would not hear. I mean, even if you thought it was raccoons in the attic, you would do something. You wouldn't let them stay up there. But people,
Right.
and there people will go, oh no, I've lived here for 17 years. I've never been in the attic. How do you not go in a room when you own a house?
I'm that person. I never was up in the attic of that house. Now the ex had like popped it and looked, and he's like, there's like an empty VCR box. There's nothing up there. So, there was no point. And it was up in the ceiling in this closet. There was no drop down. So in order to even get up there, like, you were going to have to get a ladder or something up a turning staircase and then like cramming in through
Oh,
the
okay. So that
bathroom,
was,
and then right behind it was the door to the closet. So it was never worth the aggravation of doing it. Um, Although after you came out and took care of it, I ended up having to tape an extra seat to that attic because it was just persistent trying to keep coming in. So my fireplace, my wood burning stove, which I'm gonna have to check with her because she sold that wood burning stove. So now, as I'm talking this out loud, I'm problem solving, and I'm like, I do believe that seed was taped to that collar. If that collar's gone, there's that entry.
that's opening.
So I'll have to ask her, like, how's it going? You done messed up by doing that. But that town was very, very persistent in just trying to get into the house. So we'll have to do
Well,
an
look how many times we tried to do a walk in that town, and we kept having to cancel it for one reason or another. Everything always came up. We could never do it. We were even going to have somebody come in from New York to do one of those walks, remember?
Mhm.
And we had to cancel it. It's like it never happened. And we talked about that for 6 or 7 years, and we've never done it.
Yeah. So we might have to try and get that pulled off. I wonder how quick we can. Well, it's already freaking August.
Yeah, you won't do it anymore this year.
Springtime.
Right.
But it's a sleepy little quiet town that actually has some big history behind it. But that house, it was fun. So now that we're almost at 11, sorry,
God
it's
bless
not
you.
so sneezing.
Right.
Some another room sneezing. Um, if you would want to join on Zoom, the next one is September 2nd, and it's almost full already. So there's like 4 spaces left as of before we started this morning. If anybody else has signed up in the meantime, not sure, but there were 4 places open this morning. Marianne, you will be with us at the winery, John Chris Winery, September 10th, from 3 to 10. So I'll tell him. There is no cost to come in. There is only the cost if you want a reading or a healing. But to see Marianne, that's free. She is not a reader. So you do not need to buy tickets. You don't need to schedule a time with her. It's just kind of standing in line to say hello. Then what is it? The book club. What date is the book club?
The 16th is the book club.
So that'll be at the store. Come join in the book. It's the How to Survive Mercury Retrograde. And Miriam, you've already pointed out that it covers some other planets too.
Yeah, it takes care of Venus and Mars too, which I harp enough about Mercury. I probably should not pay too much attention to Mars and Venus, but it is in here. So.
And then on September 22nd, back at that same winery is a private event with just Marianne, no other readers or anything of the sort. That is $40, and that includes wine and Marianne's talk, stories, and lectures. So that's already filling up. So you might want to jump on that if you're thinking of coming. That starts at 7.
And that's really good because it's limited to 50 people. So, I mean, we will be talking, everybody will get to talk and have things answered when it's that small of a crowd. So
Yeah.
that'll turn out, that should be really good.
Yeah. So, and then I think after that, Marianne, we've got the merry-go-round on October 9th. Tickets have been selling for that. So if you're thinking of coming, don't wait too long. December 17th, you're in store answering questions, signing books.
I did a taping yesterday for Channel 3 at the studios, and that is going to air on Good Company on Wednesday, the 7th at noon. That will be on there. And you get dressed and you drive all the way downtown and you wait and you do the taping, and it's going to run for all of 4 minutes. I'm so happy.
You said you were guessing 7 last time.
Yeah,
And
no, they cut it down to 4. They had some kind of other thing they had to stick in. It's fine because most people know by this point pretty much what I do, but somebody just tuning in for the first time is going to just think, what is that crazy woman talking about?
we'll
And
see.
they wanted to talk about what we talked about was people that died from COVID.
Okay. Well,
That's what they wanted to talk about. So
um, I was trying to pull up real quick the link for the September 22nd. I know it's on our website. Obviously, people have been signing up for it, but in the long list of events that we do at the store, it's like lost in there. There it is, duplicate link, copy. So many tabs open. I'm not going to brag about how many I have open currently.
So here, this is just an interesting little thing. This is how my life rolls sometimes. Sitting here, I can see out my front window, and down the street on the corner is a house auction. I didn't know there was one there, but I've seen moving trucks there driving by and everything. People are parked up and down my street going to this auction, and a guy is walking down the street right now carrying a box that has an old man ghost attached to him. And the ghost is absolutely going to get into the car with him.
You should send Ted out there, just hand them a business card and be like, call me when you're ready.
No, then I'd be playing that. Do you know your aunt's with you? And somebody would punch Ted in the face. So no, we're not going to go.
Don't punch Ted. Ted's a sweetie. Don't
He
punch
doesn't need any more bumps in his face or head. So
No, no. Well, hello, Marier. We're almost done, but glad you could join us. Let's see. So we actually will be hopping off here. Well, real quick, Jules said I had to have my front yard dug up for a dye test. Afterwards, could never find St. Joseph in the ground. I bought a new statue to honor him. Is that okay?
yeah, I mean, if you tried, absolutely, yeah. There's something that if people are having problems getting pregnant, there's something that I can tell them to do. And so this one lady had called me from Colorado, and they had gone through all the everything you go through. They had vitro everything. And she wanted to make sure there was no ghost around her if that was stopping it. And so I said, why don't you try this? And I told her what to do. And she called me about 3 months later. She says, guess what? I'm pregnant. I says, great. I says, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. She said, yeah. I says, now, I says, don't forget, go dig up what you put in the ground. She said, I will. She couldn't find it. She called me when the baby was 14 months old. She says, guess what? I'm pregnant. I said, wow. I said, okay. I said, weren't you nursing? Because usually a woman that nurses, that's a form of birth control. You don't usually get pregnant. Mm-hmm. She said, yeah. She says, but it was my time. 9 months later, she was pregnant again. All 3 were boys. And I think she probably would have still kept having kids because she couldn't find what she put in the ground. They ended up selling the house because she was afraid she'd end up with the baseball team. So,
Let me tell you. Yeah, maybe estate sales should be an episode or two.
well, that was sort of that. It would cover that with the podcast with the antique stores, and that would pretty much be. There would be nothing new there. It would be the same information for this too. The problem with auctions is uh, a lot of times if people are auctioning off like their parents' house because they died and the parents are still there, and I don't know why every parent thinks that we want all their stuff when we don't. I mean, my girls are going to pull a dumpster off and throw everything in a dumpster, I'm sure, when we die, because it means something to us, not to them. And they get upset and they'll go home with their things sometimes. So you got to be careful.
Mm. Well, that being said, everybody make a plan for water. But yeah, we actually are going to go record a couple podcast episodes after this. So.
We are. A couple interesting ones. We're going to do one and then part 2 for the second one. So I have to wait to see what it is.
That's right. Because we already have 2 more already in the hopper. So these that we're recording now will be like 3 and 4 weeks out. So we're trying to be responsible and keep ahead of the game.
And we still have to figure out what to do about the tea party, or what are we doing with that, because I do have those letters all ready for you, Melissa. They're all ready for you.
I know. So you'll probably hand them to me at the winery, right? Because that's the next time.
They will be sealed. You will not open them. Oh, no.
Yeah, we're going to have to plan how to record this and how to do the little tea party. This will be fun. And well, you know what? We should make that like a special record viewing. So if anybody's local, we can invite maybe a couple people to join us at the table, but then stream it.
Right.
And then I can always download it and throw it up as a podcast if somebody misses it or if they want to re-listen to it. But yeah, this could be fun. Yeah. So real quick question, what platforms are the podcasts on? It's pretty much on everything except iTunes, because Apple just will not play nice with me. It keeps rejecting the feed, even though I know how to load the feed because I have a second podcast from my store that works just fine. But no matter how many times I submit the one for Ghost Speak, it always has issues. They'll give me crap like, your image is too big. And I'm like, it's within your parameters, try again. And then it's always something. So Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pocket Casts, Google Podcasts, like it's on everything else but Apple. So, and the name of it is When Ghosts Speak, just like Marianne's book. There is also, where is it? I have way too many. Here we go. That's the actual website for it through our hosting company. So if you don't want to have to worry about downloading a player, you can go right to the website. And Marianne, you said take it on your guys' website.
It's right on the front page. Just have to go to the front page of MarianneWinkowski.com and just hit that and it'll go right to it.
And, you know, just like we ask for the YouTube channels and stuff, like if you know people that like podcasts and are into this kind of thing, like please suggest and spread the word. For everybody that wants us to travel around and come see you in other states, like we need stuff like this to pick up so we can afford to travel. So I can get that double-decker hearse bus that Marianne says she will not get on, but we will drag her kicking and screaming. We'll show up in our fancy schmancy bus.
Yeah, we're going to buy it from the Partridge Family. We'll just use that one.
Well, you know, we're going to get creative in this. Yeah. But thank you, everybody, and join us next week. And if you haven't listened to the new episode, give it a listen.
Have a good week. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.